What's going on, everyone? Harris Rubenstein here for NBA Weekly. The chaos of NBA free agency has toned down a little bit here over the past couple days, but there are still plenty of free agents left on the market. So let's go through the top 10 free agents still left unsigned. Let's start with Rodney Hood, the shooting guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Had a really rough time in the playoffs, including getting benched for the first 2 games of the NBA Finals due to the fact that he simply wouldn't go in during garbage time of a game against the Raptors. So it was a rough playoff time for Rodney Hood, but he was a good player during the season. He averaged 16 points per game with the Utah Jazz before he got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers and had a decent second half of the season with them as well. He's still young, and there aren't many guys with his length and shooting ability at the shooting guard position. I think someone will eventually make a run at him, but I still think he's going to end up back on the Cavs. The Cleveland Cavaliers simply do not have enough talent on their team right now to let a guy with the potential of Rodney Hood just go in free agency. I expect him to be back in Titletown. Is it still called Titletown or Town of Champions? Whatever you want to call Cleveland nowadays. I expect Rodney Hood to return to the Cavs next season. Let's go to number 9. We have Wayne Ellington, the guy who has reinvigorated his career by becoming a super three-point shooter over the past couple of years. He's done a great job with the Miami Heat of turning his career around. Has become a pretty reliable bench option in terms of scoring from the three-point line. 11 points per game last season. I expected there to be way more interest around him. I thought he was going to end up getting signed for a lower teal deal around what maybe Lance Stevenson got with the Lakers of about 1 year, $4.5 million. But as of right now, there hasn't been a ton of interest in Wayne Ellington. I think he'll end up back with the Heat and end up getting traded at the deadline, since I don't really think the Heat will be major contenders this season. Let's go to number 8. It is Brook Lopez, the aging center who can still get you buckets and not really do much else. But hey, when you're 7'1", you're able to score around the rim like he can, there will always be interest in Brook Lopez. His rebounding skills have really gone down the drain over the past couple of seasons, and he was never a great defender, but that scoring ability at his size is still something that you will not come across very often. I again thought there would be more interest in him, but I still expected him to always return to the Lakers. They need a guy like him down low. I think he combos with JaVale McGee quite well. JaVale McGee plus Brook Lopez, you end up with a pretty good all-around center, but when you split him in half, you end up with 2 halves of the same coin. All right, let's go to number 7. It's Dwayne Wade. Now, I know he's 36 years old, but the dude was a beast for the Heat in the playoffs, including hitting a game winner against the 76ers. He did it during the season as well. Look, it's still Dwayne Wade. I know he's 36, like I said, but he can still bring you a lot of ability. The real question is, does Dwayne Wade still want to play basketball anymore? And it is widely expected that if he does decide to come back next season, Dwayne Wade will be returning to the Miami Heat. So that is my prediction as well. I think that Dwayne Wade will end up playing back in Miami next season. How much he ends up getting paid is another question, but I think Miami is the place for him. Let's go to our next one. At number 6 is Jusuf Nurkic, the big man for the Trailblazers. Finally gave them a legitimate option down low. 14 points per game, 9 rebounds. The Blazers have already made a qualifying offer, so Nurkic is part of this ridiculous restricted free agent class that we have so far this year. I think Nurkic was always supposed to end up back on the Blazers. That's where he wants to be. The Blazers want him back as well. At this point, they're just waiting to see what the market is for centers of his ability. Not a lot of guys have had a ton of movement in terms of the restricted free agent market, but I think that Nurkic will end up back on the Blazers for next season. Let's go to Zach LaVine now at number 5, the restricted free agent who only played in 24 games last season, but in the games that he did, he was quite good. Almost 17 points per game, about 4 rebounds and 3 assists as one of the primary scorers for the Bulls last season. There's been a little bit of interest around him from a team like the Sacramento Kings or the Atlanta Hawks, maybe making a run at the young restricted free agent. We're kind of just playing hardball right now between the Bulls and Zach LaVine. They don't really know what his market is. They know that he wants the max, but if you're the Bulls, it's difficult to give a guy the max with his injury history and with his lack of real superstar potential. I think he'll end up getting somewhere around 4 years, $65 to $70 million, but I don't think he'll end up with a 4-year, $84 million max deal like the Magic gave to Aaron Gordon. All right, let's go to number 4. Speaking of the Magic, how about Isaiah Thomas is one of the top 10 free agents left unsigned. At this point, he's probably looking for a one-year deal around what J.J. Redick got of about $12 to $13 million. And Isaiah Thomas can still bring you a lot off the bench or as a starting point guard. He still has a rare scoring ability for a guy of his size. He just knows how to put the ball in the bucket. And I think if you're looking around the NBA for a team that really does need him, it has to be the Orlando Magic, brought up first by Chat Sports' own Tom Downey. The Orlando Magic are really a perfect fit for Isaiah Thomas. They gave him everything that he's looking for. He would start for them. He'd be one of their primary scorers in the backcourt. He'd be able to show other abilities as a primary distributor as well. I think the Magic would help Isaiah Thomas get a bigger contract next offseason when he eventually is a free agent again. Let's go to number 3, another restricted free agent. That's Marcus Smart of the Celtics, one of the best defensive players in all of basketball, one of the scrappiest guys that this league has ever seen, a true hustle guy, and one of the best role players in all of basketball. The real question is, how much can you really pay a guy who shoots as poorly as he does? We've been waiting for years for Marcus Smart's jump shot to develop, and so far, it simply hasn't. He really has started to live up to that NBA comp of Tony Allen. Now, not saying that Tony Allen is anything less than a great NBA player, but I think that we all expected a little bit more out of Marcus Smart. His market has been pretty small for now. I expect him to be back on the Celtics with a deal of about $14 to $15 million per year, as previously reported. All right, let's go to our number 2. Another restricted free agent is Jabari Parker of the Bucks. Now, he's dealt with a ton of injuries in his NBA career so far. They've really set back his overall development and how his game was supposed to translate to the NBA. And we also saw with the Bucks last season, especially in the playoffs, that the dude just doesn't really fit with the Bucks. Their defensive rotation doesn't really make sense with him in there. They don't use him correctly on offense. It's just a very strange combination, especially with having Giannis on there. I think Jabari Parker is going to end up getting an offer sheet from the Bulls. Once the Bulls figure out Zach LaVine, I think they're going to go after Jabari Parker and bring home the Chicago kid back to the Bulls. It'd be a great story. They have a lot of power forwards right now, but none outside of maybe Lauri Markkanen with the overall offensive upside that Jabari Parker still offers. I think Chicago is going to make a run for their boy. And our number 1 free agent left unsigned, it is Clint Capela, the defensive mastermind of the Houston Rockets last season. Their entire defensive game plan was, we're going to defend you on the wing and funnel you down low to our 6'11 Swiss rim protector who's going to block the hell out of your shot. And boy, did he ever block the hell out of people's shots. 2 blocks per game last season, 14 points and 10 rebounds. One of the best big men in all of basketball last year, and a real big reason for why the Rockets were the team that they were last year. I'd be stunned if Houston lets this guy go anywhere else except keeping him inside of Texas. At this time, we don't know how much Clint Capela is actually going to get paid, but I would expect that money as of right now to come from the Houston Rockets. Let's go back over my top 10 free agents still unsigned. You got Rodney Hood, Wayne Ellington, Brook Lopez, Dwayne Wade, and Jusuf Nurkic. And then we have Zach LaVine, Isaiah Thomas, Marcus Smart, Jabari Parker, and Clint Capela. But I don't know from you guys, who is the best free agent left on the market? Let me know in the comments section here on YouTube. And while you're at it, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at SportsFeed and let me know who you guys think is the best free agent left on the market. But that's going to do it for me today. Remember to subscribe to us here on YouTube at Chad Sports. We're going to have the best NBA content that you will find anywhere on the internet. And be sure to stay tuned for all of our NFL, MLB, and college football content that we have coming for you down the wire. But for now, we'll see you.